You are listening to Trophy Horse with your hosts, Tricky Nick, Alex, I Yield to Nolan, Sid, and Ender Phoenix.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Trophy Wars. This is episode 656. I'm your host, Chicken Mick. Something's making noise. Okay. I'm your host, Chicken Mick. Alongside with me, the man, the myth, the legend. It's Alex.
You know, not only in 2025 will I probably hit 200 platinum trophies, but I'm at 90.50 completion percentage, so I might hit 91% completion for my trophies. It's gonna be 2025 is gonna be a hell of a year.
He brings the awesome. It's I Yield to No One.
I've played some games this week.
I would hope so. All right.
Tricky, I don't mean to alarm you, but I didn't get the agenda.
You definitely got the agenda.
I definitely did not. I just looked through it. My emails.
I can see it right now. It was sent to you.
Well, I'm telling you, it's not my inbox.
Well, how'd Yield get the agenda and you didn't?
I don't know. Maybe you like Yield better than you like me.
You didn't send it to him?
Just sent it to you again, sir. Oh, my God.
Checking. Huh? Might have to wait. I might just have to have you read my trophy list off, but my trophy numbers, but that'll be all right.
You normally read off the app anyway. What do you...
No, I don't. I normally read it off our agenda.
Oh, I thought you normally read it off your phone. All right, well, I put a link in the Skype chat.
I read it off my phone, yes. I'm not looking on the computer because I'm not going to be tip-typing on the computer and clicking the mouse while we're recording because that makes background noise. So I look at my phone so it doesn't make noise.
Oh, well, I just clicked. I just put a link in the Skype chat for you, sir.
I just told you I didn't want to do... Yield's here too.
Yes, I am here.
Did I not introduce you already, Yield?
You did.
Oh, he did?
Okay. You know, it's been a few weeks since I've, hosted the show, but I still know what I'm doing out there, Alex.
I don't know about that. There's been plenty of times when you don't know what you're doing. We've had plenty of evidence where you're not entirely sure about what's going on.
Well, that's also fairly true as well.
Here, I'm not signing in. Just read my shit whenever we come to it. I'm not fucking... No. Sick of this.
You're so... Oh my God, so bougie. I'm not clicking, What? Yield, is this the type of show we're going to have?
Yes.
My God. Matt's not here. He's just taking a well-deserved break. So the Grinelli takeover is officially canceled. I am now back in charge.
I'll carry the flag for the Grinelli takeover.
You have to be a Grinelli for you to do that.
That's fine. Matt can dub me with a sword and everything. Or I guess maybe since they're Italian, it could be like a baguette. He could, knight me or Grinelli.
That was so racist.
No, it wasn't.
That was so racist.
It was not. Shut up.
Wow, I can't believe you starting to show off such racism.
Fine, then. He can use a dried linguine noodle.
That's not any better there, sir.
It is... whatever. Everyone knows that pasta is popular within Italian culture.
All right, for anybody listening to this, or I tried to do the live stream, so it's not working. Something broke. I don't know what happened, and Matt's not here to
be the smart one.
Yes. So I am. I'm doing what I can, but he's not here to help me problem solve. So, well, I'll get that done during the week. I was going to do something on my computer. I forgot what the hell I was going to do now. I don't know. Let's do our updated trophy counts. I am level 960 total trophies of 34,032 with 980 platinums. Alex is level 516 total trophies of 10,447 with 187 platinums. Yield.
In 186 games.
No, I'm taking it out of the show because you didn't want to read your own. Now that's to be taken out of the show.
187 and 186 games. I'll say it throughout the show, Tricky, so you got to take it out like 100 times.
You act like that's a problem for me, sir.
It is absolutely a problem for anybody who has did it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yield, what are your trophies, sir?
Gold, silver, bronze, and platinum.
Oh my God, you are really gonna make this hard on me today, aren't you?
Well, you asked what my trophies were, and that's what they are: gold, silver, bronze, and platinum. I am a newly minted level 524 with a trophy count of 10823 and a platinum count of 205.
All right, and Matt is pretty much the same level 221 total trophies of 1328 with 0 plats. And Sid, he went back to his old account, I guess, for whatever reason. He is level 890 total trophies of 27,041 with 844 platinums. All right, so I will give you guys the choice, which I know you're going to deny it anyway. But I heard a really, really bad dad joke today. Do you guys want to hear it?
What's the harm?
All right. Why does Greece hate waking up at dawn?
Why does Greece hate waking up at dawn? I don't know why.
Because dawn is tough on Greece.
I knew it had to be a soap joke.
Great. We're all better.
I got a little smile out of Alex.
We're all better off for hearing that. I should have known that. Like, I'm a clean freak, so I probably should have known that. Especially since, like, we never run out of dish soap in this house. I always make sure we have some in the chamber. Yeah, I'm a little disappointed in myself that I didn't, because I was thinking, like, the country grease, and then I thought, okay, grease, like, is in, like, slimy, like, slippery grease, but I just couldn't connect it.
It was the country grease, but it's a play on words. And for the record, I told that to the goddess, and she told me I was stupid.
Yeah.
So. All right, before we get into what we're playing,
you're real lucky she didn't throw a big old pan of moussaka at you.
Oh my God!
Sorry, I have to make sure I say it right, because every time I've said it to her, she's like, "You're a fucking idiot because you say it wrong." So I gotta really enunciate in the right places.
3 hours ago, Gareth, freshly off his knee surgery, has updated the tables. Gentlemen, I'm not going to read everybody, just the three of us. I'm going to do this every week because we are in the top league together. Yield, you are in the lead out of the three of us in 7th place with 85 points.
Yay.
Alex, you are in 10th place, 2nd place of us, with 48 points.
I'll take it.
And I am in 13th place, not far behind you guys. Not far behind Alex with 42 points.
You know what, Tricky? That's awful bad luck, because some hotels don't have 13th floor because it's real superstition, and you're in 13th place. You better get the hell out of there.
Well, I'm only 2 points behind Garrett right now, which, I can't really brag about that because Garrett's probably been at a commission for a couple times. But
real quick question here, Ghostbusters question, Neil. Did the Cedric Hotel not have a 13th floor?
I don't believe it did.
Okay. Should double check on that.
So, and Doc Chicken's apparently kicking some ass in Division 2. He just came into the contest. He already has 178 points, which is the most out of anybody in the contest so far.
Oh, well, Rick thought he had a handle on everything, and then here comes Doc Chicken.
Well, Doc Chicken's going to have to not cross the road until he gets into Division 1.
What? What does that mean? What did you just say?
Yield got it.
No, were you trying to cross, like, this person's username with the famous chicken crossing the road joke? And
Yes.
Yes.
That was-
yes. That's where he was going with it.
Your dad joke, Tricky, was far better than that.
Was better than that. Yes.
That was just awful. If you're going to edit stuff out, you might want to start with that.
Okay, to be fair, I did that one on the fly.
Well, that explains everything. You don't have a career in what's it
Stand
called?
up.
Well, whose line anyway? Whose line is it anyway? Does it improv? You don't have a career in improv, Tricky. So maybe stick to the scripted shit.
I thought that was pretty good.
No.
You said it was on the fly.
No,
You didn't have to
wasn't.
think about it.
I thought it was pretty good. Anyway, let's get into what we're
you
playing.
know what? That's all that matters. As long as you found it funny, that's all that matters.
I was going to add a rim shot sound effect onto the soundboard this week for when I told my dad joke, but I forgot to. I also forgot to upload a musical challenge, so you guys are getting the week off.
Oh, good.
No musical challenge for you guys.
The week off from winning.
You know, if I was playing, if you actually came with them from me, I think I could give you a run for your money because I'm pretty good at these.
Yeah, every asshole thinks that until they actually have to do it without knowing what the song is.
Well, to be fair, the only ones I've picked are ones that I've gotten without looking. If I get it without looking, then I think it's okay to challenge you guys. If I have to look, I don't challenge you guys with that one because I don't think that's fair.
Yeah, but here's the thing: is that all of us, like, despite there being some overlap in the media that we consume, there's also a lot that we individually like listen to or have watched that the other ones may not have. So I may pick some things that I think, oh yeah, these are easy enough, and then, you'd be like, what the hell is this? Oh, this motherfucker picked a step-by-step theme song.
Well, to be fair, I have said a couple times I think you guys would get these. Like, this is easy enough. I was still surprised you guys never got the MacGyver one.
I didn't.
Was it MacGyver?
I was aware of MacGyver. I was not a weekly watcher of MacGyver because I was too young.
Yield, you say it wasn't MacGyver, but it got picked up by the YouTube algorithm.
I don't believe it. Doesn't sound like MacGyver.
All right. I'm finally taking the plastic off my monitor.
Yeah, we know. We heard you
After-
crunch it up for the world's greatest audio.
7 years of having this monitor. Let's get into what we're playing. Yield, we'll start with you, sir. What have you been playing?
Okay, so let's see here. I don't know if I mentioned this or not.
Let's pretend you didn't.
I played the Sandland demo. I think that was a couple of weeks ago. I played a little of World of Warship Legends. Didn't get back into it this week, which is fine. Like, I could have, and then I didn't, and then I'm just like, nah, whatever. Played some Star Wars Outlaws. Played some Rocket League with Alex and the Brain. Played some Helldivers with Alex and Prepare to Dire Scum. Fired up Star Wars Squadrons and was working on the single player. Did a little bit of Farm Simulator 19 before I came up here to record. Been playing a lot of Battlefront, Star Wars Battlefront 2, which I've almost to the point of where it's the grindy trophies, really. And I've been playing some more of the deep diving adventures, which I think I'm a level or two away from being done with the game. And that's it.
You're going to get 13 trophies 12 trophies in the last level?
Yeah. Well, no, because there's some new game plus trophies,
Yeah, I was about to say there's a New Game Plus one.
quote unquote. But they say there's kind of a workaround to that. You just have to play. You just have to play the two. So I forget how many levels there are. How many is there? Okay, so that's the ancient. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there's 10 levels. And then there's a bonus 2 levels. Scroll down here and see the Dead Mines and Sons of Horus. this was a PC game. So those 2 levels were DLC for PC. When it came to console, it just, we got them all. So they're saying, what I've read online, is that when you go to do New Game Plus, you play these 2 DLC levels, 100% those, and you'll get the complete each area at 100%. So you wouldn't have to replay the whole game again.
Okay.
That's what I'm hearing. So when I beat the game, and when it comes time to start New Game Plus, I will do that to see if I can bypass playing all 10 levels again.
All right. Just not that you guys saw this or anything, because Alex is currently taking a break from social media.
Oh, that's a good man. I should do that.
And Yield is not a part of the Trophy Wars Facebook group or a Facebook message group anymore. But I sent a picture to Matt and Will, who were still in there. We got some feedback from one of our social media videos last week. In which,
I'm glad I wasn't there to see that.
Well, no, it's actually from one of our fans that regularly comments. But Harry left a message on the Facebook post and says, GDC, I don't like it when they use glitches or duplicating. It's not legit. So that's in reference to last week we were talking about are glitches in the game okay to use.
Ah, gotcha.
So when you said, there's a workaround, it triggered in my mind to bring up that comment.
I gotcha. But actually, I'm enjoying that deep diving adventures.
Okay.
Swimming underwater, finding stuff. You can't run into stuff, otherwise you lose. If you swim into stuff too hard, you lose seconds off your oxygen. So that's your penalty for bumping into things. You've got I think you start off with let's say 10 minutes of oxygen, and then the faster you swim, it goes down quicker. But then when you find something, you get 8 seconds back.
Gotcha.
And then you have to surface before you run out of air, or otherwise everything you found, you lose it, and you got to go find it again.
Gotcha. All right, so that's all you've been playing?
That's it, yeah.
All right. Alex, before I ask you what you're playing, I need your help on a game.
What is that?
Because you got Sly 1.
All right.
I am in the second or third world, but that's irrelevant to what I'm going to ask you.
Well, is it Sunset Snake Eyes or is it Vicious Video?
I don't. If you didn't cut me off, I would just tell you it's irrelevant because you're going to know the section that I'm about to explain. You're in a boat and you got to run down fish to get
It's Vicious
fuel.
Video. It's Miss Ruby's. It's Haiti. Okay, go on.
How the hell? Is there some kind of trick to that? Because I did it once because I got the platinum originally. I can't even get close to doing it now. Is there some kind of trick that you used to do it?
So, I think that I don't want to say I struggled with it, but I definitely didn't do it on my first time. It took me a few times. I don't remember if there's any trick. I think you just have to
get lucky.
Well, there's a set number of fish, right? Of piranha, correct?
Right, but see, the problem that I'm having is chasing down the fish. I'm wasting precious seconds because these fish are fucking fast, and I can't catch them. I have to catch them when they go to turn or something. I can't catch them in a straight line, so I'm wasting precious seconds trying to get to them.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things you have to keep playing and get better at it, because I don't think there's some grand strategy behind it. I think you just have to kind of go, I don't know, I'm trying to, because is that the one where you catch the fish and then it allows you to light the torches?
Correct.
Yeah. Like I said, I had a little bit of trouble with that one, but at the same time, it did take me more than a few tries, so I don't know. Maybe if I watched you play, I could give you some tips, but it's just kind of, you got to be good on the controllers, you got to be good on the sticks.
I mean, I'm not bragging or anything, but I think I'm fairly decent at it. It's just chasing down the fish, I can't catch them unless they make a turn, and then I catch them.
Yeah, I probably had to watch you play it just to see. I remember that area of Sly Cooper, the Haiti area, is, I think, people's least favorite. And I think it's partially because of the two mini games there with the chickens and the chickens with the bombs, and then also the piranha in the boat. Those aren't fun. It's easily like the worst part of Sly 1 is the Hades section.
Yeah, I can't. Well, I can't even progress anymore because it's it won't let me. So I have to beat that section, or else I can't play any more of the game. So that really sucks.
Yeah, I mean, Sly 1 is a lot of fun. So hopefully you're able to just maybe step away from the game for a bit and then come back to it because.
Well, that's what I did. I started playing Uno.
But you had some trophies you had to clean up in that, so it.
Yeah, and the trophies I have left, I have to grind with somebody, so I'm not happy about that.
Grind's never fun. Sorry, I don't. I mean, grinds are different. They're not all the same, but grinding in general is just not a particularly fun part of any game.
All right, well, let's talk about the fun games that you've been playing.
No, I have found out, though, that when you do go to grind, especially on the ones that are really annoying, I have found that it's best to kind of like don't push through it necessarily until you start like to hate the game.
Push it to the limit.
Kind of just like what I did with Rayman was I tried to get X amount of points a day and then just would kind of do that and then move on. Yeah,
well, I'll let Alex go through what he's been playing, but I'll tell you the 3 trophies I need left at Uno, and you tell me how hard you think it's going to be to grind that out. But Alex, what have you been playing?
I would assume one of the trophies is to win a certain amount of games with another player.
Well, yeah, it's one to win 10 online games, but that doesn't bother me.
But yeah, because if you're grinding out with somebody, that wouldn't take that long.
No. I mean, the other ones are not going to be... Anyway, let's get into anime, but what have you been playing, Alex?
My usual live service games, been playing some Rocket League, been playing some Helldivers 2, both of which you probably all expected because you heard Yield say them earlier. And got a new Platinum Trophy this week. The bulk of my time was taken up by Sly 3 Honor Among Thieves, which was my newest Platinum Trophy. And I know last week I spent time, a lot of time comparing Sly 2 and Sly 3 and which one's better, which I do think is always an important conversation to have within the community. But, I mean, this time, kind of just want to wrap up on Sly 3, just talk about it, how good of a game it is, just kind of the gameplay evolution that you see in Sly 2 and Sly 3 just makes them so much better than Sly 1. Don't get me wrong, I like Sly 1, but Sly 2 and 3 are just so much better. It's just so much more fun for the gameplay to unfurl the way it does with the mission-based the mission-based scenarios in like a large overworld. So love that. They refined the gameplay. Like I said, they made some changes that I didn't necessarily like. But overall, most of there's very few lows. There's a lot of highs. There's very few lows. But I like exploring a lot of the episodes. I like the first episode starts out in Venice, which is a fun place to explore. The only weird thing about that is it's like at daytime, so you're a thief running around at daytime. It's like this, you're not hiding it very well. Like in Sly 2 in Paris, it's like dark all the time. It's dark. So running around on the rooftops wouldn't be as much of a problem because you're kind of shrouded by the darkness. But no, I mean Venice, the Australian outback, the third episode, which Flight of Fancy in Holland might be one of my favorite Sly episodes of all time. It's a lot of fun. And then getting to run around on the pirate shores in Bloodbath Bay in episode 5, Dead Men Tell No Tales. Second half of that episode is ship battles, which isn't nearly as fun. I much prefer running around the town and stealing from the pirates. But, generally every episode has some really high points, like the one in China where you're helping the Panda King against General Tsao. Get this, General Tsao is a chicken. General Tsao's chicken. Yeah, nice little joke there, Sucker Punch. We love it. But this game, I guess, was around the time, is 2004, which is around the time of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. So the boss fight against General Tsao was like half of it's up in the treetops and it's like slow motion and it's a lot of fun. It's like one of the best boss fights in all of Sly Cooper. So every episode has got a lot of highs. Like I said, very few lows in the game. So I definitely really enjoyed my time with Sly 3. The only thing... I really wish the final episode of Sly 3 kind of unfurls like in the first game it did, Cold Heart of Hate, where you go up against Clockwork, where it's basically like one mission triggers automatic like roll through of all the others. It's not like Sly 2. Sly 2, there's a big giant air base and air fortress that you get to explore, and you do missions at your leisure. With Sly 3, it's just like Sly 1, where once you finish a mission, it immediately rolls you into another one until you get to the final boss fight, which, not bad. I just prefer being able to run around and do like a full like sandbox mission and recon and stuff like that in Sly 2. But, I mean, overall, Sly 3... taking the story away from Clockwork was always going to be a little bit tricky, but I did think they did a good job with Dr. M and, his motivations. And, I mean, overall, yeah, like the places they selected, the locations, the characters. There's a lot to like about Sly 3. So I enjoyed my time going back through. Still a fun game to play, even all these years later, 21 years later. Still a hell of a game. So, I'm hoping again. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I'm hoping the performance of these games and how highly they're rated and how much they're downloaded helps get us to Sly 5, because we need it. We need them. We need Sly 5. But yeah, that's all I've been playing is my live service games and my Platinum Trophy in Sly 3.
All right. While you were talking, because, I had 20 minutes to do it, I did some research.
What do you mean?
Apparently,
what do you mean 20 minutes to do it?
I'm making a joke about how you go on and on and on and on.
See, here's the thing, Tricky. If you're going to make that joke, any other week you probably would have gotten away with it because I probably would have gone for a half an hour. This week, though, I was being ironic this week, Alex. It was like my third or second week of talking about Sly 3. There's not a whole lot. I mean, actually, there is a whole lot I could say, but I'll leave it at that.
No. All right. I've been playing some... I tried Stumble Guys. That's a really bad game. I don't know how the hell these guys made it through those games, but played a little Horizon. Daryl, Rick, and Garrett.
What are they rare trophies?
It's a rip off of Fall Guys.
Yeah,
that's 100% what it is. Played more Horizon Zero Dawn. One of the trophies is glitched on me, and I'm rather pissed off about it.
Glad I didn't play it. No good deed goes unpunished. See, Tricky, you buy this bullshit remaster, and you get locked out of the platinum.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna go through the game on New Game Plus, so I'll be able to get it, hopefully. But there are some trophies so there's the Frozen Wild Feast. There's a trophy called 5 machine types repaired. Use the machine repair or mount repair skill on 5 different types of machine. I mean, I just have to go and take over machines and do it. And then there are some trophies in the main game I got to get, which I got to get at least a half sun mark in all the trials or blazing sun mark in all the hunting grounds, and those will be taken care of. I got to go back and knock down 23 of the dummies in the Nora region. But the trophy that's pissing me off is tore off 5 heavy weapons from machines during combat. I've certainly done that.
Have you, though?
Yes, because every time I start a fight with a heavy machine, the first thing I do is hit that vibrating arrow that knocks off things, and I've picked them up and killed them with it. So I've definitely done that. So I don't know if that trophy's glitched or I'm just,
Have you tried a quick Google search or gone to the PSN?
Yeah, everything's popped up. And then there's one trophy which I just got to redo the last mission again, which is all allies joined. Given Aloy's actions, all possible optional allies joined the defense, which I could just pop to it with that. And then the only other trophies I have left is to go through on New Game Plus and complete New Game Plus on ultra hard difficulty, which I don't think I did in the main game because I just didn't want to beat my head against a wall.
It's not that difficult, I'll tell you, because I went through. I had that trophy from the original game, and I have it from. Honestly, Forbidden West with that final boss fight would have been more difficult because the final boss fight for Forbidden West is much more difficult than what they had for the waves of enemies for the first game.
And then I played 2 spam games just to get the bonus points this week, but I didn't get the platinum in them, which I don't know why, because each one of them has...
How did you not get the platinum trophy on these spam games? Isn't that the
because
point
they both
to get an easy platinum?
Because they both have 20 trophies each. So I just split 2 of them, got 10 trophies in each game, just because I didn't want to pop 2 spam plats. But I have like 300 of these games, so I can just keep doing this. So I can do this 150 times. So I can do this for the next 3 years as long as Garrett keep the rules the way they are. And then I can go back and pop the platinums whenever I want. But the trophies in Uno, and I've also played Division 2, but I'm not getting trophies in that. The trophies in Uno that I need to get is successfully challenge a missed Uno 15 times. That's not hard, but when I'm playing with the AI calls it quick. So I don't know if I called it or somebody, if the AI calls it. I got to win 20 wild draw 4 challenges. That's just a pain in the ass because the AI never does that. And then I got to win 10 online games. So I think I can just get into games like Alex or Yield or somebody and just, make sure they don't call Uno, and then just make sure make sure they use a draw 4 on me when they're not allowed to. So, and then just win the games. But I think I can grind those out. Those don't seem to be too grindy. Right, Yield?
Just takes time.
Yeah.
I mean, the last time I played
Uno
was, I can't even tell you when, so I don't know how long it would take to do any one of those things. But no, I mean, it's not like they didn't pull out a win 1,000 games of Uno online or something like that.
No, but see, it's all luck based because you can't play a game head to head. You have to play a 4-man game. So if you're sitting across the table from me and you're the one that gets to draw 4, I just lost out on that. I can't challenge you on that. So, but all these are either rare or ultra rare. So, if anybody out there has Uno on the PS5 wants to grind them out, let me know. I will do it with you. And that's all I've been playing. So, all right, let's get into our topics. Gentlemen, ready?
Sure.
This is Yield's favorite topic of the week. Horizon Zero Dawn film has been confirmed. This is coming from IGN and written by Wesley Yunpool. Remember when Netflix Horizons... before I go into this, shout out to Matt, who, even though he was on the show, still did all the notes. So shout out to Matt for that.
Shout out, Matt.
Hey, remember when Netflix Horizons series got shelved? Well, evidently Sony isn't done trying to make a live-action Horizon happen. A collaboration between Sony Pictures and Columbia Pictures was announced during the Sony's 2025 CES press conference. Also announced was a Ghost of Tsushima anime is coming to Crunchyroll in 2027, and they've also announced a Helldivers 2 film is in production. At the same conference, both of those were announced. The anime is set for 2027 and is produced by Aniplex, who has heralded some such animes as Demon Slayer and Sword Art Online, though no word on the story or who the anime will feature. We'll go to you first, Yield, because I ironically said, or not ironically, I was jokingly saying this is your favorite news story. I'm going to let you give your opinions first on these.
Okay, what am I giving my opinion on first?
All 3 of them.
Okay, I've already said that Horizon Zero Dawn doesn't need to be made into a film because we got the video game. If Sony's going to make their stuff into anime or films, then you tell a story within the franchise. You don't retell me the exact same game I played. I have no interest for that.
That's fair.
Ghost of Tsushima would fit well in an anime because there's a lot of samurai anime, so that I think that would fit well. Helldivers 2 film, there was one. It was called
Starship
Troopers.
Is there really that much of a connection between those two?
You don't need. Yeah, they're both a fascist film. You should watch. I've seen some Facebook videos where they've gone back and it was actually a film ahead of its time of how it pointed out things and a lot of stuff nobody caught. I liked it for what it was. You go back and you look at it now and you're like, oh, I didn't realize that meant that and that meant that. But yeah, it was Starship Troopers. You just didn't have the automatons and the Illuminants. That's it.
I remember watching that movie with my dad years ago when it first came out, and we both thought it sucked.
I thought I thought it was good for what it was.
That was good. I enjoyed it. At the time it came out, I thought it was good. I mean, it was violent. It was gnarly. I mean, there were guns. There were giant bugs. And in the end, we won. So,
and you had Doogie Howser in it.
Barney Stinson for the How I Met Your Mother fans out there.
To be fair, I really don't remember anything about the movie anyway. So,
and it had boobies in it.
Oh, now I have to go watch it.
You already watched it with your dad, or did you block it out when Glenn saw you and Glenn saw boobs at the same time?
Alex, I'm going to give you credit. I'm actually very impressed you remember my father.
I have said your dad's name multiple times on this show. Not this show, but across shows in the Trophy Horse universe. Funny thing is, I don't know if you all remember this, but there was a Starship Troopers video game that actually came out the end of last year, or toward the end of last year.
Yeah, there was.
And they actually had Casper Van Dien promoting it.
Was it good?
I don't know. I was just about to ask if anybody knew how well it did, but judging by the fact that no one ever talks about playing it, I'm assuming it didn't do too well.
I'm looking up to see what.
Because let's be real, like when Helldivers comes out and it becomes as popular as it did, if you're going to roll out such a game that comes across as so similar, I don't care if the movie came out first and Helldivers is kind of like an homage to that. If you're going to release that type of game after Helldivers comes out and is incredibly successful, you're not going to do well. It would shock me if that game did well.
It was called Starship Troopers Extermination. Only came out for the PC. And the average Metascore was a 61 based on 14 critic reviews. And the user score was a 4.8 based on 12 user reviews.
See, that's the thing is like, you can tell, I mean, I'm sure that game had some money behind it because it had the licensing. And like I said, Casper Van Dien was out there doing interviews about it. When you get that few critical reviews, like that's bad. Like that's not a good sign.
Oh, wait, okay, I have to correct myself because I didn't scroll down. It actually did come out for the PS5 and the Xbox. On the 5, the average Metacritic score was a 67, so 6 points better. But on the Xbox, it got a 65. So apparently it wasn't that great on PC. The PS5 got 10 critic reviews, and the Xbox also got 10 critic reviews.
See, that tells you what like outlets thought of it, that it wasn't even worth reviewing. Which in and of itself is not good. I also think it had a more like cartoon like art style to it. It wasn't like, it didn't look like Helldivers. It had a kind of a stylized look to it.
IGN France covered it. Push Square covered it. IGN Spain covered it, but no other IGN. And the Jim Quisition reviewed it, and he gave it an 80. The IGNs did not give it good.
You know who Jim Quisition is, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah, from
I'm actually surprised he's still around.
From Destructoid, or formerly of Destructoid, I should say.
I'm surprised he's still around. All right, Alex, your thoughts on the live animation and or the live action and animation of these shows going forward?
Well, first off,
games going forward.
My first thought is if they're going to do a Horizon film, Ashley Birch needs to play Aloy, because if you didn't know, Ashley Birch is the person who plays Aloy in Horizon. So if you have an actress who plays a character, is the likeness of a character in a video game, maybe just hire that actress to play them in the show.
Well, that didn't work out for the Last of Us show because they should have hired Troy Baker and they didn't.
Well, you know what? I don't know what to tell you about that. I absolutely
and the God of War show, they're talking about they either want The Rock to play Kratos, or who I think would be a good Kratos.
Stone Cold
Triple
Steve
H.
Austin.
No, Triple H. Triple H has got that exact facial structure and beard.
Yeah, but if you've seen Triple H's acting chops, have you ever watched Blade 3 or Blade Trinity?
That was how many years ago?
You know, man, I don't think Triple H is a good enough actor to be the Kratos role, because Kratos, especially at this point in Kratos' trajectory, I don't even think The Rock can do it. I absolutely don't think The Rock can pull it off. Like,
there's also a call for Christopher Judge to play it, but I'm not a fan of that.
I want somebody who can actually play the role and be serious about it and make it and pull it off. And I just don't think...
Well, Christopher Judge is Kratos,
I'm
so
well
he
aware.
can pull
Yeah,
it
I
off.
know about Big Daddy Christopher Judge. But here's the thing. Boy, just... if you're going to pick The Rock and Triple H, you're just putting them in there because they can look like Kratos. But if you're going to get in there and spend all this money to make a movie, and you got to have the emotional impact that comes with playing Kratos, neither one of those guys can pull that shit off. So it's just going to be a flop. Because people who like it are going to shit on it all over the place.
Yield your thoughts on The Rock or Triple H playing Kratos?
I don't have a thought on that.
Okay. All right,
I think they should put the best person qualified to play the role.
All right, back to Horizon, Ghost of Tsushima, and Helldivers. Alex, what are your thoughts?
So yeah, I hope Ashley Birch gets to play Aloy. It'd be interesting to see. Like, I'm sure they could do something with Aloy in like a different region of, I guess it's the United States. We figured it out to the United States that that the games take place in. So I'm sure there's some small like side story they could do. Although they would probably have to start with Rost and her upbringing. It would be kind of weird to just start with adult Aloy. So I don't know. Maybe they would focus more on her upbringing and like early days of Aloy adult, which I mean that could be interesting. But just having the same story when you know what's going to happen might be a little problematic. Might want something different from that. I think
I think they should go back and tell the story of Elizabeth Sobek.
You could definitely do that too, yeah. But I think that if you don't have Aloy involved, people are going to be disappointed.
Well, I mean, technically she is Aloy.
Well, you know what I mean. Like Elizabeth Sobek is not out. Elizabeth Sobek is not out there like destroying machines. So
basically, instead of reading about how the world came to an end, we actually watch how the world came to an end.
Correct.
I could kind of see that because there may not have been enough people that looked for all of the data points.
But
I mean, I certainly didn't read or watch all of them.
Oh, I found as many as I could because I found it very interesting of how much backstory and how not thoughtful is the word I'm looking for. How thought out it was.
Well, I think we all know that would be like the first 10 to 15 minutes of the movie, and then they would zoom to Aloy. I don't think they would do an entire movie of Elizabeth Sobek. I just don't.
Wasn't the original plan for the show to be well before Aloy was even in the picture? Wasn't that the original premise of the show?
I'll take your word for it because I don't remember that.
I don't know. I wasn't. I just read that they were going to do one, and that was all I did.
Hold on, because there was a rumor. Now I don't know if the I don't know if the year came into play, but they had a number with it. It was like 2070, 2088 or something like that. 20, I don't know. Yeah, I can't find it. But I thought the original show was taking place well before Aloy was in the picture, but I could be just thinking.
Yeah, but again, any movie that does or TV show that does not involve the machines is going to be. I'm not going to say.
Well, this is the machines turning evil.
Well,
take it over.
But you have to have that part, and you also have to. I think you have to have Aloy in there because people like Aloy is everyone's favorite character from the series. So if she's not involved somehow at some point in the story, you're going to lose people. And again, like yes, Aloy may be from Elizabeth Sobek, but Aloy is a different character. They have different experiences. They had different upbringings. Like they lived at different times, and how they survived was different. So they're not exactly the same.
It was going to be called Horizon 2074. That was the original name of the show.
Yeah. But no, I mean, I mean, if the movie actually does come out, I'll watch it because it could be good. Who knows? I mean, Sony has a pretty good track record recently of getting their stuff to the screen. So, and having it be actual good quality. I think they're doing a second season of Twisted Metal, which is surprising to me. I'm not.
Why? That was a good show.
I'm not saying it wasn't good, but just again, it's very different from what Twisted Metal was like. If you played the games, you may or may not have liked the show. Like I could see a casual person like watching the show and maybe liking it and not getting the references, but Like people who grew up loving Twisted Metal, I could see them turn that on and then turn it off like right away.
Well, the end of the show set up the whole premise of the game. The whole first season was them setting up the tournament.
Oh, okay. Well, here's the thing.
Because at the end, that she, I remember Eve Campbell's character's name, but
Nev Campbell.
Basically, like, yeah, she was the main bad guy in the first season.
Yeah. No, I'll have to tell you this, Tricky. I didn't get all the way through. I stopped watching it like 5 or 6 episodes in.
Oh no. Well, spoiler for anybody. He finally delivers the package, and it comes out that she was basically put him on that mission to audition him for the games, and basically locked him in by saying she was going to kill somebody close to him. It was basically like her setting up the tournament.
Okay. But yeah, so I think anime, switching to Ghost of Tsushima, I think anime is a perfect avenue for that, perfect medium for Ghost of Tsushima. I think they could really do some good stuff with that, and also diversifying all your things so one's not like, so you don't have like everything come out as a TV show or everything come out as a movie, like a big budget movie. I think diversifying the mediums is the best way to handle it. So thumbs up for taking the anime route with Ghost of Tsushima. Also Bloodborne. With how popular Castlevania was, Bloodborne would be a massive hit in anime if for some reason I just missed it and it's already an anime, but with how much people want Bloodborne and there's like a card game for Bloodborne and all this, or a tabletop game, like that'd be like a smash hit anime, I would think.
Well, so didn't Sony just buy the rights to produce other media for that whole company?
Well, they bought the largest stake in Katakawa, not a majority stake, but the largest single stake in Katakawa.
No. I thought before that they had bought like the rights and stuff like that.
Well, very clearly Sony owns the rights to Bloodborne.
Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe one of the listeners can fact check me, but I believe there was a story where they bought the rights to produce other content other than video games.
Could be. I may have missed it, but if one of the listeners has info on that or seen it, then I would absolutely love to hear it. What was the third thing? Tricky, I've already forgotten.
Helldivers 2.
Helldivers 2. Hell, I'll watch that. I played enough of that game, and it's been how many years since I watched Starship Troopers? Many. Like a few decades since I watched Starship Troopers. And again, like Starship Troopers, like eventually they had like 2 or 3 of them, or maybe 4 of them. Like 2 or 3 sequels, so yeah, that series kind of went down the turd bowl, but it's funny because, yes, what Yield said may be accurate, but I certainly have a lot more, like, a better opinion of Helldivers than I have of Starship Troopers at this point. So if you're going to say which one would you rather see in movie form now, I'd say probably Helldivers 2.
All right, final thought on this. Yield, I'll just go back to you. Are you going to watch the Helldivers film?
I always wait and watch the trailer to decide on whether or not I'm actually watching a film.
All right, 10-4. Moving on to our next topic.
Are you not going to give your thoughts, Tricky?
Obviously, I'm going to watch the Horizon movie. I'm not a big anime guy, but, I mean, this may bring me in because it's Ghost of Tsushima. Obviously, I love that story. Helldivers 2, you guys already know my opinion of that game. Like, I just find the game boring.
I don't think you ever
the only time I play it is with you guys.
I was going to say, you never really gave it... You didn't get to the point where you had the best stratagems.
True. And the only time I play that game is with you guys, so...
I will say another good thing about having Ghost of Tsushima come out as an anime is you can expand the world of Jin. Because obviously what we figured out is that he's not going to be the main character in the second game. So... Well,
I mean, there's no confirmation he's going to be the main character of the anime either, so...
But if it's called Ghost of Tsushima, like there's, I mean... Ghost of Yotei is clearly a very different person, whereas Ghost of Tsushima you would figure is Jin, because he is the Ghost of Tsushima.
True. All right, next story coming from IGN, written by Wesley
Here we go. All the IGN, it's coming down like a waterfall.
No, there's only 2, and then the last 2 were... Matt pulled a 180 on me and did it by other people. Assassin's Creed Shadows has been delayed again, this time by another month. Matt says, who was excited for Assassin's Creed Shadows to release on February 14th? Well, suck it up because you have to wait another month. Delayed to March 20th, the statement from Ubisoft is, quote, "This additional time will allow the team to better incorporate the player feedback gathered over the past 3 months and help create the best conditions for launch by continuing to engage closely with the increasing positive Assassin's Creed community." I don't know where they think it's positive. I'm going to jump to a listener question right now because Will, we're going to cover. Will has this question, and we're going to basically get to cover it now. But Will wants to know, what changes do you predict Ubisoft will have made to Assassin's Creed Shadows? And then after you guys give your opinions, I'm going to give you something that somebody brought up, that Ubisoft has stuck their foot in their own mouth again with this, or stepped on another landmine, however you want to say it. Yield. I know you're not the biggest Assassin's Creed fan, if you are at all, but what do you think about them constantly delaying this game? Because this game was supposed to be out back in November, and now this is the second delay.
To tell you the truth, I haven't been following this at all.
Okay.
So I will, as long as the delay makes the game better, I'm okay with it. But I can definitely say that because I haven't been eager to play it. So,
I mean, this was the Assassin's Creed everybody wanted, was to go back to Japan.
Speak for yourself. The one I wanted was in Egypt, and to be fair, I got it. But
okay, I will say the mass majority of ever since Assassin's Creed has been announced is where they wanted to go back to Japan. But Alex, your thoughts on another delay?
I mean, it's what, less than 6 months from the original release date? I mean, that's November to March.
5 months.
So I don't think it's any big deal. I mean, if it's like, hey, we're just trying to make this game better and take player feedback into account, I think it's completely fine. I don't think anyone's so hard to play this game that they're going to be crying about this delay for another month. But as far as Will's question go, I got no idea. Because I don't think they're going to... The biggest hullabaloo about this game was the characters, right?
Yes.
It was the Black Samurai.
And I don't think they're going to change Yasuke at all. And so I don't know what they could implement to change things. Unless they change, there is a sidekick, right? Like a secondary character that you play with or play as?
A female assassin, yes.
I don't know if maybe they might fiddle with that a little bit, but... this game was largely, because it was supposed to come out last year, it was largely coded, programmed, and built before they showed that trailer and everyone got all riled up. So it's not like they're going to go back and change large swaths of the game just to appease the internet. So I honestly don't know. Tricky, you paid more attention to this. You might have a better answer for Will than I do, but based on the controversies that I've seen about this game, I really don't know what they could change in such a short time to appease people.
I to be honest, I really haven't paid attention to actual announcements by Ubisoft. I've just seen the outcry a lot of times, and I look at the outcry and I make my judgment based on whether or not it somebody's just pushing too hard for something, or this actually has some legs to it. I mean, we talked about the statue that had the archway, and they had to cancel that statue because it was, disrespectful.
Wasn't it? It depicted a very, as you said, a very difficult time in the culture or something like that. I don't know. It was a broken Torii gate or something like that.
Yeah, it was a one-legged Torii gate that apparently, if I remember correctly, and I could be wrong, I believe was destroyed during the atomic bomb attacks.
Oof, we're definitely the right people to be talking about this.
So
three dudes from America.
Well, here's the next time that Ubisoft apparently stepped on a live grenade on this one. I will let you guys make your judgments because it is what it is, and you guys could. I'll go to Yield first to see if people are just being too sensitive or this is just a real fuck up by Ubisoft. But apparently their new launch date, if you guys remember, I said was March 20th. That was also the day back in 1995 that there was a domestic terrorism plot in Tokyo, in which they released sarin gas in the subways, and it was it says the attack was directed against trains passing through Parliament, the headquartered in Tokyo, and it killed 13 people and severely injuring 50 more. Some who later died, and causing temporary vision problems for nearly 1,000 others.
Can I say something?
You can. I was going to go to Yield first, but you can go first.
What the fuck? I'm not trying to downplay the severity of the situation, but can you really expect people to remember every single terror attack that happens in a country at any given moment and then base their video game releases around that? I mean, for fuck's sake, I think people are being too sensitive about this, honestly. I don't think there's any malice, and it's not like they're commemorating the day, but how many terrible things have happened to Japan or any country in the world over history associated with some date? Like, I don't know. To me, it just seems like people are getting up in arms about nothing. And, like, it's like, for a lot of people here in the U.S., like, we probably remember Waco. What happened down in Waco in, 93 is like a very, very terrible event. Do you think people in fucking Japan or wherever remember Waco at all? Or even know what happened? No. So, I mean, I don't think Ubisoft, again, is doing anything, like, there's no malice here, I don't think. They just picked the date. Maybe, I mean, I'm assuming it's like a Friday or something, like a normal day that video games release, and it just happened to fall on this day in history. Like, who says the next week some other terrible event didn't happen in Japan? I don't know. I think people are being way too sensitive.
March 20th is actually a Thursday.
Okay, well, it's a
Tuesdays and Thursdays are when video games normally release, I believe.
Okay.
I thought it was Tuesdays and Fridays, but
yeah, it's not like
either way. Alex is right. I mean, there's always, you could look pretty much most days. I would think that there's something happened in some way or form or another. Ubisoft is a what company?
They're French.
They're French. So people want to crap on Ubisoft, and someone dug this up on the internet and said, "Oh my gosh, Ubisoft's such a horrible company." Just people, get over yourselves. All right.
So the three of us are in agreement that this is being blown out of proportion.
Yes,
it is. If it doesn't affect you, get over it.
Because I saw somebody equate this and says, imagine if a Japanese company released a game in which you flew planes into towers and released it on September 11th.
Well, no, I'm saying what I will say is I think Microsoft forever and always should never release a flight simulator game on September 11th. I think that would be stupid as fuck. But
nobody. Oh my God, you can't. You're comparing apples and oranges with that. Oh jeez.
I'm just saying that's some of the comments I saw.
But also,
I know. But that's how dumb people are. You're comparing apples and oranges. This is a game based in not medieval
feudal Japan,
but feudal Japan, right?
Right.
By a French company with their Assassin's Creed brand. It just, like Alex said, it just happened to hit on this day that a terrorist attack hit. You know what? They probably didn't know about it because they're a French company. So it just quit grasping for straws and try to make an argument, people.
The other people have made the comment saying that this was the worst terrorist activity in Japan's history and that Ubisoft should have known about this. I'm going to tell you, honestly, I don't even remember this happening.
I don't know nothing about this.
I was 14 when this happened. I honestly do not remember this ever happened. And if somebody hadn't pointed this out, I would not even know about it. Now, I'm not saying ignorance is, an excuse, but
you also what year did that happen?
1995.
Okay. And how was the internet in 95?
Not really existing. I mean, it was just basically getting started.
And they're wanting the cell phones that we have now. News that happens post probably 2000, 2005.
Right.
More people will know stuff about it now than as they would back then, because like Alex said, that was a Japanese thing. If you didn't watch the evening news, you wouldn't know about it.
Correct.
Right? Whereas today, you open up your phone, depending on what apps you have, oh, such and such, oh, what's going on? I mean, the only reason I knew Notre Dame burnt to the ground was because I was on Twitter and saw it trending, and I was like, oh, look, oh, wow, it's burning to the ground. Wow, that's sad.
Okay.
You know, otherwise I wouldn't have known about it.
I would not expect people in, like, say, Japan to know about the Oklahoma City bombings, because those happened in 95, 94? I can't remember.
It was early 90s, I think, or somewhere in that time frame.
I'm looking
actually,
it up.
it's not funny, but it's interesting that those are actually tied to Waco, because Timothy McVeigh was actually, I think he was actually watching everything at Waco happen, and he was...
Oklahoma City happened approximately a month after the Japan attack.
But Oklahoma City, like, there was actually ties there with Timothy McVeigh and what he saw at Waco. So I would not expect a Japanese person to know anything about the Oklahoma City bombings, because typically when we go to our history classes here in this country, we learn about world events based on our involvement in them. We're not going to learn, unless there's a specific class for it, about Japanese history or French history or anything like that. We typically learn through things that happen through the United States worldview. And I would assume that Japan and other countries, like, they focus on their history and how it affects them and how their involvement in the world is viewed through their own spyglass. So I would think that if you think that every country knows the world history and the terrible events that have happened in every other country, I'm sorry. That's not reality. That's not how it is. I had no idea about this attack, because I didn't learn about this in school.
I will say this, and I'm in agreement with both of you guys in the fact that this is being blown way out of proportion. But I will say this. I do think that Ubisoft did make a mistake here, because if they're doing their research on a country to make their game, I would think that this would have come up in their research.
They're doing research on feudal Japan, not mid-90s
you're doing research
Japan.
Yes. There you go, Alex.
All right, that's a fair. And I'm in agreement with you guys. I think this is being way out of proportion.
If there had not been so much controversy surrounding this game before, this wouldn't have been an issue.
I agree with that.
I think that because the bandwagon has gotten rolling against Ubisoft and against Shadow specifically, with the statue,
let's pile
with
on
the main character. And again, I don't necessarily I think, main character's fine. I don't have an issue with the main character. The Torigate. I don't really. If I'm not Japanese, so I don't know how that depiction affects them or their view of things. But to me, I think this is ridiculous. I think that you have to think about what we're taught in history classes pre-internet or just the beginnings of the internet. And you have to understand that every country is not going to be researching or know day by day the goings on of another country. If you live in Japan, I absolutely expect you to know this shit. But here in the United States, this is the first time I've ever heard of this. Or if I have heard it before, I don't remember it. So, last thing I'll say is, again, Ubisoft did research on a very different time period in Japan, not the Japan where they had Ninja Turtle movies coming out during that time. So to jump on Ubisoft, I think it's just people jumping on Ubisoft because it's just the ball is rolling and people are jumping on it.
It's the fun thing. I don't
think in any way that Ubisoft has meant any offense in this. I think they just picked the date because it was a day that video games come out.
All right, moving on to our next topic. These next two topics were introduced by Matt. This is coming from XDA Developers and written by Adam Conway. The PlayStation 5 can play PlayStation 3 games. Sony just doesn't want to for some reason. With the popularity of streaming PS3 games via Sony's PS Plus service and breakthroughs in emulation technology such as RCPS3, which I don't know what that is, why hasn't Sony made PS3 games playable natively on the PS5? One YouTuber says it's not because the console isn't capable. YouTuber Lois Logan says the emulation software, while not perfect, can run PS3 games on hardware similar to and even less powerful than the PS5. And since this is done as a fan project, that means Sony, with all its official sources, should be able to make the PS3 games play natively on a PlayStation 5 possible. But perhaps it's just that Sony doesn't want to make it possible. Your thoughts? I need to step away for a second, so I leave the table to Alex and Yield. I'll be back in a few minutes.
Well,
whatever one you guys want to go first.
I don't know. I mean, a bunch of it's going to be me asking questions, but I mean, we can just shoot the breeze here for a little bit until you get back.
I mean, we've always said that the option should be there. So if a less powerful console, but see, this is all theoretical though. They're saying that a less powerful console can do it, so the 5 should be able to do it. Well, yes, but there's programming that goes along with it, which I would say probably isn't overly that hard when what the 5 can do. So, I mean, why not? But it doesn't actually do it, so we don't know.
My confusion on this comes from the fact that if Sony is going to withhold some feature, there's a reason behind it. So I don't understand why, if the system wasn't capable of it, allowing us to download PS3 games like, Ratchet and Clank Tools of Destruction or Heavenly Sword, games you can only stream, why they wouldn't just allow us to download it to our console and play it on the console. Like, I guess to someone who's not that tapped into, hardware, you would say, oh, well, maybe the games just aren't compatible and they can't run on the system. But I would think that of all of Sony's consoles, the PS5 would have to be the most capable and most complex and most powerful. I may be an idiot in thinking that, and, I bring this up when Tricky gets back, so maybe he can tell me that I'm a big dum-dum, but I don't understand why they would withhold this. So, and again, this comes from a YouTuber. Like, I'm not saying this, Lois Logan isn't intelligent, is lying here, doesn't know, about the subject. I just don't know what the purpose... There's always got to be a reason, right? I don't know why Sony would withhold such the capability to play PS3 games natively on your console, because you could do that with PS1 games, you can do it with PS2 games, you can do it with PS4 games and PS5 games. So really, if it's capable, what's the issue with PS3 games? Yield, anything you can bounce back to me off of there, or anything any insight you might have?
No, I agree with what you're saying.
Well, because it's also, recently we had the two Resistance and Resistance 2, and I think Resistance 3, I can't remember if Resistance 3 also came to the service, but you can now on PlayStation Network play the Resistance games. They didn't add trophies to Resistance 1, they didn't change up the trophy list for Resistance 2, but you stream those games. And those games are both for the PS3. So again, and I gotta think, was Resistance 3 on the PS4? Do you remember, Yield?
I think so. I don't remember off the top of my head. I didn't really get into Resistance until
Retribution.
One.
Burning Skies
for the Vita.
I keep naming all the
Burning Skies. Sorry, Burning Skies. There
making you second guess yourself. But yeah, here we have recent additions to the PlayStation Network, and they're PS3 games, and you still have to stream them. So, as far as what's going on with that, I don't know. I guess in this case, I kind of have to trust that Sony would allow us to do it if it could. But then again, there's no reason to hold back the PS3 library from playing it natively on the PS5 if you could do it. When you've given us access to some of the oldest games on PlayStation consoles to play natively on our consoles, there seems to be no logical explanation as to why they would just be like, oh no, arbitrarily you can't play PS3 games on your console natively. You have to stream them.
My only thought is it has to do something with the cell processor.
Well, yeah, but this person, Lois Logan says you can play them on there as possible. So, and Tricky, I brought this up and you weren't here. So, is the PS5 not the most powerful, most capable, and most complex system Sony's ever put out?
Arguably you could say the Pro is, but yes.
Yeah. I mean, granted, I would say that, just because it is the most complex doesn't always mean that it plays well with the cell processor, but,
Because even if you notice, and I'm coming in at the tail end of this conversation, but even if you bring in the fact that, we're able to play PS1 and PS2 games, even when you're playing Sly right now, it's still the PS2 versions of the game. It's just they're being able to be played. So my only thought is it's got to be something with the cell processor that they can't give the PS3 games the same treatment as they did as the PS1 and PS2 games. That would be my only thought. Because I didn't hear anything of what Yield said, but from what Alex said, it really does not make sense. Sony would not make this an option because the PS3 arguably, and I'm putting arguably under quotation marks, arguably has the best library.
No. It's not arguable.
I said arguably.
It's not arguable at this point. I guess you could make there's so many games that have come out for all these systems that you could make a case for any of them. But I'm sorry, it's the PS2. And then probably the PS4.
Well, a lot of people would say the 4, a lot of people would say the 2.
A lot more people would say the 2.
I really don't want to get into that debate because I'm not one of the ones that would argue and say the PS3 has the best.
You're not a lover. You're not a fighter. You're a lover.
Yes. All right, moving on to our last story, which I'm reading under protest because I don't like the author. Coming from Bloomberg.
Oh, this is Jason Schreier?
Written by Jason Schreier.
Name so nice you had to say it twice.
Why video games cost so much to make. In 2009, Uncharted 2 cost $20 million to make, while in 2019, The Last of Us 2 cost $220 million. So what gives? In an interview with a developer, Bloomberg Schreier said in today's world, sometimes developers are left waiting to do their part. Sometimes tools aren't ready. Other times, new ideas are injected suddenly, and without thought as to how it will affect the process. Meanwhile, the average cost of keeping an employee working in a location like Los Angeles can be $15,000 to $20,000 per month, which is including your salary, benefits, and overhead. Now look at how long games are taken to be made, and even small teams can cost upwards of $18 million a year. Here are some of the numbers from a recent lawsuit on what it costs Activision to make their Call of Duty games. Black Ops 3, which was released in 2015, cost $450 million. Modern Warfare back in 19 cost $640 million to make, and Black Ops Cold War in 20 would cost $700 million to make. And the rumor that I'm adding on to this is GTA 6, which has cost over $2 billion to make.
You hear a common theme between all those games?
Point it out to me, please.
They all
sell really well.
Well, in that, but they all have multiplayer.
Okay, I mean
so therefore you have a server that you have to have and maintain. I mean, other than you can just say that the times everything gets more expensive every year you go along. But all of those games have a multiplayer. I want to show me. So you're showing me, and even Uncharted 2 had a multiplayer. Show me, I guess, single player games, because most of those games that they're talking about, I don't care. You can price yourself out of the market for all I care for those games.
I mean, not that we have the exact numbers here, but how often had we reported that Square Enix said they released a game and it didn't meet the sales expectations because their budget was so big?
Every time since the Tomb Raider reboot.
Right. So, I mean, that's a whole other conversation saying that Square Enix needs to adjust their their judgments of how well a game's going to sell. But I mean, granted, the numbers we were given was because Activision went through the whole merger, and we found out how much it costs to make their games and all this other stuff. That's how we have those numbers. But in reality, a lot of these games and developers, we're never going to find out the exact cost of the budget. And even when I brought up GTA 6, it's rumored that the games cost $2 billion to develop. So, but granted, Grand Theft Auto 6, if it's follows even half the success of 5, is going to be worth it. So,
that's why they keep making them.
But I don't know how much we can talk about this, and I'm not saying it just because it's Jason Schreier article. I'm just saying this is the realities, and a yield I think you kind of hit it on the head. You know, the later we get in years, the more expensive things are going to be.
Also, I mean, these days, I mean, there's a ton of different things like, you know, you're paying actors for mocap, and yes, you were paying actors for mocap back in Uncharted 2, but you generally have larger cast sizes these days. You have more people, bigger games. You have bigger teams to make those games.
And they weren't making the money that they made back then. Mocap was just getting started. Now it's you know, it's a given that you have mocap. And
it's more highly developed now than it was back then.
There's also, you know, marketing costs and I mean, there's a whole mess of different things that goes into the explanation as to why these games cost as much as they do. With Activision, I'm sure for some of those Call of Duty games, they brought in experts like military experts to come oversee the production or say like, hey, can you check this to make sure that this, you know, jives with what, you know, actually happens.
I'm going to push back on that because I'm going to say at this point, they probably have enough information on all the weapons they put in their games. Because
at some point, though,
within the games.
I'm not saying every time, but at some point they brought in people who are experts in combat that have probably looked over what they've done and said, yeah, hey, this checks out.
Nah. I mean, I'm a Call of Duty hater, so like to me, it's always the same game, just recycled with different skins.
Well, I'm sorry, I just don't think it's just a room of assholes who have never been to a combat scenario making a game about combat. Like, they have had to have some people come in and give the yay or nay on some stuff.
I'm not denying that at all. I'm saying what I'm saying is that's probably been done years ago, and that's no longer a yearly cost. Is what I'm saying.
I'm just saying at some point.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's so many different things that come into play when it comes to, you know, what makes a game. So, I mean, to do an article like this, I mean, I did not read the article, but I would think that to actually truly cover this, you would need more time and effort and more words than you could actually put into an article like this.
I read a little bit of the article, and it basically started off by him saying he went to lunch with somebody who was at a big, high, you know, AAA developer, and the developer said that half of his day is sitting at his desk watching Netflix because he can't do anything. And to me, that's just a waste of money.
I mean, it is, but how many people go into work and just, I mean, Tricky, for God's sakes, like you.
I knew you were going to bring me up into this.
But how often? You brought your PlayStation to work for how long? And you know, how many people around, like, at their work, like, there are plenty of people that, like, have a phone on them all the time and, like, watch Netflix when they're not supposed to at their desk or something like that. I don't know. If you're going to call that out for, like, a waste of money, there's a lot of companies that are wasting money on employees around the country.
Fair enough. Yield, your final thoughts on this?
I don't have a final thought.
Okay. Well, with that being said, we are going to...
The final thought is everything is expensive to make these days.
With that, we are going to play the sound.
Time to check my social media, yeah.
All right, so...
Bless Joe Priestley.
Well, he left a comment, but I'm not going to read his comment because he sucks.
Read the comment. I want to hear what the comment is.
Well, you're going to know the comment after I read Jeremy's question. Jeremy has a couple questions. His first one is hobbies outside of gaming. He says he's recently got back into playing guitar.
There's other hobbies outside of gaming?
I'm trying to get back into playing hockey at my old fat age. Yield, do you have a hobby outside of gaming?
No, not now. I don't.
Okay. Any hobby you had outside of gaming that you no longer do?
I used to play softball back in the day.
Okay.
Come on, isn't all of our hobbies shaking our fists and yelling at the sky?
Pretty much.
Telling all the skateboarding kids to get off
Get
the
off
lawn.
my lawn.
All right, Alex, any hobbies outside of gaming? Other than aggravating Ashley on a daily basis?
That is very fun. You know, I would say probably for me, like, I like taking pictures. Like, I love... My dad, when I was in college, bought me, like, a really nice camera, like with attachable lenses and everything, and I actually still have that camera, and it still takes pretty good pictures. But nowadays, since you have a phone that has a camera and, and you keep it in your pocket, I don't take my camera out that much anymore. But just photography, taking pictures. Like, I used to go out in Louisville and just, like, drive downtown and just walk around downtown and take pictures. There's like a downtown. There's a garage door that has a Batman, like the old '90s Batman, like where he has the cape over his eyes, but you can still see his eyes and like the bat signals in the back. Someone spray painted that on a garage door in downtown Louisville. So I saw that. I was like, oh, I need to take a picture of that. But yeah, I used to like to take out my camera and just walk around to something to do and take pictures.
All right. His next question is, what was everyone's opinion of the debut of Monday Night Raw on Netflix? He said, sorry, Matt. Matt's not here, so this is actually a good question. I don't know if you boys even watched it. Did you?
No, it's on Netflix.
We have Netflix, so you don't have Netflix?
No, I don't have Netflix.
Oh, man, you are definitely yelling at that sky and shaking your fist. Like, okay, can I ask, why don't you guys have Netflix? Because I would think that you and your wife would get a ton of usage out of it.
I don't know. We've just never gotten Netflix yet.
Do you guys still have cable?
No.
So do you have Hulu or Disney Plus? Or you must have Disney Plus because you watch the Star Wars stuff.
We did renew. We did pick up Hulu and Disney Plus because they had a deal this year.
Because they're the same company now.
Yeah, but they had a bundled deal that was,
right.
That was a good deal. So we did get that. Otherwise, we were dropping Disney Plus this year because I wasn't paying full price.
Okay, so it's not like you're all against streaming, you just don't have Netflix.
Yeah, no, I just don't have Netflix.
Okay. I watched it. Overall, I don't like the black canvas for the wrestling and all the advertisements. The advertisements are getting... the one Prime advertisement in the middle I could do with, but when they have 6 advertisements on the ring or 5 or 6, I'm just like, this is way too much.
That was a little excessive.
Overall, with the Bloodline stuff, that's become the matches don't matter because the matches unfold the same anyway. So I hope they do take all that stuff in a different direction because now that Roman's beaten Solo, I don't the story elements are what you're waiting for in that. It's not the matches. The matches don't matter. The matches are kind of the interruption for the story, when they're out there talking to each other and doing promos and stuff and the story segments. So overall, it was mega successful. The numbers that came back were really, really impressive. And I think that...
But what did you think of the actual show, though?
For the most part, I had it on mute. With more... As time goes on, I definitely think they threw more people on this show than was necessary. As time goes on, matches will dictate. I think it will get into a nicer groove and more like the 3-hour Raws that we were used to. This one was very clearly bringing back The Undertaker and Hulk Hogan and all these people to get a big pop in the ratings, even though they didn't advertise them. But they wanted to have big stars on the show so people who did watch it on Netflix are like, oh, I remember this person. I'm definitely coming back next week to see who shows up. But
see,
overall,
I think what they did was because this was the first time that WWE could actually be seen across the globe.
Yeah.
So they made a big show, so anybody that tuned in, they had oh, this is what the WWE is about. It's the fact that they only had 4 matches was disappointing to me.
They usually, typically on SmackDown and Raw, they don't really have that many matches anyway, and certainly not matches of that caliber or length.
And now Triple H has come out and said that Raw is not necessarily going to be 3 hours every week. It's going to be whatever story they're telling that week. Some weeks it could be 90 minutes. Some weeks it could be 4 hours. Raw is not dictated down to 3 hours anymore. They're not beholden to certain timelines because Netflix has given them the free reins. So 1 week you could turn it into Raw and it's 90 minutes. 1 week you could turn it into Raw and it's 4 hours. And they also announced that Raw is not always going to start at 8 o'clock as traditional. It's going to start at whatever 8 o'clock is, local time of where they are broadcasting from. So if they go to Saudi Arabia and hold a Raw, then Raw is going to start at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So it's not always going to be 8 o'clock, which I worry a little bit because, yes, you can go back and watch the replays on Netflix, but I think when you have a show like that, you want to be starting at the same time. And the length I'm not too worried about.
Yeah, but if it's on the if it's
on the West Coast, it's still starting at 8 o'clock. They're talking about extreme
it's 11
things.
o'clock here. It's like 11 o'clock here.
No. I'm saying it will still start at 8 o'clock here for us. They're talking about like if they go to the UK or they go to Germany or something like that. That's when. The fact that Netflix doesn't have rights to the pay-per-views, they still have to do another year with Peacock, which I hate fucking Peacock. I can't stand Peacock. And then there's going to be talks whether or not to bring the I'm calling it the pay-per-views. I'm not calling it PLEs. Bring the pay-per-views to Netflix and whatnot. So, half the world still uses the WWE network. Apparently, only the United States.
I thought they shut it down.
No, WWE network is still going for everywhere outside of the United States. Only
you might want to check on that. Check on that.
I will double check.
But here, I'll give some more notes from the show for Jeremy while you look at that. One, The Undertaker was completely needless. He didn't need to come back. It was just pointless to have him come back.
Cheap pop.
Hulk Hogan, please just get away from Hulk Hogan. The curtain has been pulled back on Hulk.
He got booed.
He got booed heavily.
And I hear they edited it.
He
live,
was just there.
Live they didn't. On the replay they did.
He was there to pimp his new beer, which I'm sure sucks. But no, the curtain's been pulled back on that guy. Never call him again. Because people hear Real American by Rick Derringer and they remember the song and growing up watching wrestling and Hulk Hogan when he was popular. And of course, at that point, you would hear cheers. But then once he started talking, man, they booed him out of that building. And so I think WWE needs to divorce from Hulk Hogan. You don't need Hulk Hogan around. I'm sorry, I like Jimmy Hart, but it's the company you keep, man. And Hulk Hogan, people just don't want him around anymore. Last thing I'll say is really the only match I wanted to see was Punk and Rollins. And I feel like that match delivered. But everything else, had been, at least two of them had been long-running feuds that I think people are kind of over with. And then, you had Drew and Jay, which, a lot of people might want to see. But really the only match I was really interested in was Rollins versus Punk. And, of course, the right man won.
Bullshit. But you were right.
The real star attraction won.
You were right about the WWE Network. Apparently, it has ceased operations in a vast majority of the remaining countries as of January 1st, but it does remain active in some territories where Netflix contract, where companies or countries can't get Netflix. So
my understanding is they're going to bring everything to Netflix once the Peacock deal ends.
That's my understanding too, but I'm saying right now the WWE Network is still live in the countries where they can't get Netflix. That's what I'm reading right now. All right, and the last question, as Alex ran away, Yield, I'll go to you first. Who is everyone's pick for the Super Bowl this year? So who do you got in the Super Bowl this year, Yield?
The Lions. Probably Lions Chiefs.
Lions Chiefs. Well, the Lions, when are the Lions? The Lions playing. Oh, they had to bye this week.
They had to bye.
The Eagles have beaten the Packers. The Bills have beaten the Broncos. Texans have beaten the Chargers. And the Ravens have beaten the Steelers at this point. And currently, the Bucs are up 3-0 to the Commanders. And Joseph Priestley's comment was, "Let's go Bucks." So, I've never been a Commanders fan, but go Commanders.
Aren't they your divisional rival?
Alex, what is your pick for the Super Bowl this year?
As to who I think is going to win?
Who you got in the bowl, and who do you think will win?
Isn't that the same question?
What two teams do you think will make the Super Bowl, and which team do you think will win?
Well, here, let me see. Well, I mean, I was about to see who won the Packers-Eagles game. But
Eagles.
I think the Lions. I mean, you got to pick the Lions from the NFC, right? I mean, they've been the best team in the NFC all year round, or all year long. So you got to pick the Lions. And at this point, can you pick against Kansas City?
Well, if you're a referee, you can apparently.
But I mean, the Ravens look good against the Steelers, but it's the Steelers, and their quarterback is done. He's over. He's just finished. So I don't. Yeah, Russell Wilson's long past his prime, and so I mean, I don't know. It's just Kansas City's a machine. They lost 2 games this year, I think, and they had the best record in the NFL, I would assume. I can't remember what Detroit was, but
Detroit only lost 2-3 games, maybe.
So they were around the same.
And the only reason Kansas City lost their last game was because they sat all their starters.
So, yeah, I think it's going to be Kansas City, Detroit, and I'm going to go with the Lions to win their first Super Bowl. They've never won before, have they?
Nope.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, Dan Campbell's done a really good job there, so I'm going to go with Detroit.
Yield, you didn't say who you think was going to win.
We'll say the Lions.
All right. I am going to say the Bills.
They obviously won today.
They did. I think the Bills are going to win their first Super Bowl ever.
I mean, they did beat the Lions.
Yep. So
in Detroit.
They also beat the Chiefs, but beating the Chiefs twice in 1 year will be difficult. I got to say, I just don't believe in Josh Allen that much.
I don't think the Chiefs make it out of the next round.
Who are they playing?
Well, hasn't been determined yet.
Yeah, but the Bills have got to get past the Ravens then.
Well, it should be determined because all the AFC games have been played.
Who beat the Chargers yesterday? Because that's got to be the people who are.
That's who Kansas City's playing, the Texans. Bills are going to Baltimore. Or actually, Baltimore's going to Buffalo.
So the Bills, I think, have the harder game.
Let's see. I'm looking at Bleacher Report right now. KFC is going to be playing the Texans.
KFC. The fried chicken's going to be playing.
And Baltimore is playing the winner of the... well, they're going to be playing the Bills. Detroit is playing the winner... well, they're going to be playing Minnesota. And the Eagles are going to be playing the winner of the Chargers-Bucks game. Wait.
The Chargers are an AFC team.
You mean the Redskins and the Bucks?
Okay, hold on a second. Because unless I am out of my mind,
you are
tricky. This is not that difficult.
Hold on, I'm look
the
at
Lions
Skype.
The Lions will play the lowest remaining seed of the NFC.
Look at that bracket right now, because the Commanders aren't even on it. Oh, okay, I see what they did. Right here. They got the Washington name, but they got the Chargers logo.
Yeah, they got the Rams. They got the Rams logo.
Rams logo, sorry. That's what threw me off. So the Eagles will play the winner of the game that's being played right now. Detroit's going to be playing Minnesota. And, yeah.
Didn't Detroit just beat Minnesota?
Wait.
I think they beat them last week for the division title.
They actually beat them twice this year, didn't they?
No,
that I'm not sure.
Actually, I'm speaking to my ass right now because the Minnesota Chargers game is actually tomorrow night because they had to move it to Arizona.
It's the Rams.
Yeah. Because the wildfires in LA, they even the NBA had to postpone the Clippers and the Lakers games.
Oh, I kept saying Chargers, didn't I?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
They're in the same stadium, same town, but they're NFC and NFC.
the dual logo threw me off at first, and now it's just fucking me up. Anyway, the Minnesota are playing the Rams, and that team will play the Detroit. So. All right. There was one more question. Hold on.
Well, that's not true, because if the Redskins win, the Redskins will play the Lions.
Okay, stop saying that word. I don't want to beep it. Last question. Let me find it. Last question is coming from Shannon Lynch. So this is a little bit of a paragraph here. I have recently had an issue with Sony and Hitman 2, mainly the DLC that I have purchased some time ago that doesn't expire until 2028, but Sony delisted Hitman 2 from the store. I have no way to download the DLC packs without the add-on tab from the store. Is it worthwhile taking further action on Sony, or am I wasting my time? As I'm in Australia, we have a governing body called the Fair Trade, and I could report the issue to, but Sony being a massive company, would it fall on deaf ears? Anyway, a bit of a rant and a question, but I would like to hear your opinions.
Well, you can't, and I'm just asking, you can't, if you've bought it, you should be able to go into your library and download it, right?
He says he purchased it some time ago, but that doesn't mean he redeemed the code. So I'm assuming that he can't get it now because he never redeemed the code.
Well, okay, if you've purchased it, as in bought it or put a code in, you should be able to go in your library and get it.
Correct.
But you are probably right. You probably are fighting an uphill battle, but if you own it and you don't have it, then it doesn't hurt to report it.
Because delisten, it just basically means they take it off the store. You can't buy it. But like Yield said, if it is in your library, you can always re-download it.
But keep in mind, like with some of the Discovery shows, there have been stuff that people bought that they took off the store and you can't watch it anymore.
You can. They transferred it to a different service.
Well,
but yes. Shannon, I really don't have an answer for you. I would think that if you've already redeemed it, then you could just go into your library and find it and download it. If you haven't gotten the code, like Yield said, I think it's an uphill battle. I don't think you're going to be able to do anything with it. My best thought, possibly, is to see if you could find like a Game of the Year edition of Hitman 2 at GameStop that has all the DLC on the disc. But that would be my only thought of a workaround.
So I don't want to be the gloomy Gus among us. But I mean, I would hope that Shannon could download the game with the DLC, but a single case like this, not even just Sony, but the governing body in Australia, I hate to be pessimistic, but I don't necessarily think that the governing body would take this up or put much time into it. I mean, let's be real. It seems like everywhere you go, there's not enough people to do anything these days, whether you go to a doctor's office, whether you go to a grocery store. So I don't necessarily know that if you put the effort in, I mean, like Yield said, it doesn't hurt, but if you put the effort in to report this, I don't necessarily know what the governing body would do anything about it. Personally, I don't know. If it were me, I would save my time. And I hate to say that because you paid for it and I would want you to be able to play it. I just don't think these single cases like this, I just don't think the governing bodies would really...
I don't think they care.
Yeah, I don't think they care. Because we have customers, and it's a different case scenario, but we have customers that come into our store all the time and they have something they used to buy and they are like, oh, can I put in a suggestion? You guys have suggestion cards. And in my head, I'm like, our company doesn't care. Like you're doing this for nothing. You're screaming into the void. So, but I mean, Shannon, do what you feel is you got to do. If you can't download it at this point, if you feel like you need to, maybe report it. But I don't think you'll hear back. Honestly.
Yeah, honestly, I think your best bet is just to try to see if you can find like a complete edition at like GameStop or whatever your version of GameStop is in Australia, and see if that maybe helps. But I don't even know if that was an option. All right. So let's move on to our topic of the. I think that was all the questions, right? Yeah, we answered Will's question earlier. Yes. All right, that was all the questions. Our topic of the week, also asked by Matt, in his effort to not actually talk about a particular topic, but just get our opinions on things. If you guys followed the Facebook group, our good friend of the show, Jeff Hanna, posted a picture of the new Xbox controller being made by Hyperkin and called it unclean. If you guys don't know what we're talking about, go Google a search of it, because basically it looks like a DualShock controller. So Hyperkin has recently showed a DualSense inspired Xbox controller. Got me thinking, what do you think the best features of each system's controllers are? And Matt has a thought. He says the battery life on the Nintendo Switch Pro controller easily beats out any of its competitors. He also loved being able to order a customized Xbox controller directly from Design Labs. So, Yield, I will go to you first. And you can mainly focus on the PlayStation controllers, or if you have some insights on the Xbox controllers, feel free, or the Switch controllers. But what are your best features of the controllers?
I always like the size of the 3-4 controller. I think the DualSense is too big, in my opinion. I always liked the button layout of the Xbox controller. I liked the offsetting thumbsticks. And I think the battery life was better in the 4 than the 5. But the longevity of the batteries don't seem to be very long in the 4 as compared to the 3.
Okay. Anything on Xbox controllers other than the offsetting joysticks?
Nope, I just like the offsetting thumbsticks.
Okay. Alex, your thoughts on the controllers?
I mean, the controller certainly looks nice. It definitely looks like a DualSense. There's no way around that. You know, Xbox controllers have been a wide array of ugly as fuck and, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. Some of their, I mean, they do have a nice controller. They've certainly made it a lot better since the original Xbox controller. Although I saw another one of the Hyperkin controllers they made for the Xbox One, maybe, and I did not like the look of that. But no, I mean, this controller looks nice. If I had that console, I like the DualSense. The DualSense has got some heft to it. It feels like a quality controller. I like it. I did like the PS4 controller, but I mean, as I go back and I play use PS3 controllers and PS2 controllers for, you know, older games, it almost feels like it's too small. Like, it feels too lightweight. Like, I think the DualSense is the best controller that Sony's ever put out. I like it the best. So, to me, it's a good size, it's a good weight. Whereas if you go back, I mean, it almost makes some of the older consoles, like, controllers feel flimsy. I don't want to say cheap, but kind of cheap.
Okay. I just always thought, and I know that, you know, I'm a Sony pony, I always thought the PlayStation controllers were always the best in terms of, you know, everything. I will give Xbox the credit on the offsetting joysticks, because I did buy a Scuff controller for the 4 that had the offsetting thumbsticks. And I did find to be using that controller a hell of a lot more when I was playing Division than I did the regular PlayStation 4 controller. But that could also be because I particularly bought the Scuff controller to play Division 2 with. And if I'm playing, you know, if I'm spending $250 on a controller, I'm damn sure going to use it. Yeah, I just think the PlayStation controllers are far superior. And the fact that it wasn't until recently that the Xbox controllers stopped using batteries. And I think some of them still do. You still had to plug 2 AA batteries in it, which I always thought was stupid.
Or they use like a battery pack that you can recharge.
Yeah, but I mean, it wasn't as simple as like plug it into your console and just it will charge. So
You know, I bought a controller for the Switch, a wireless controller for the Switch, and It requires batteries. I'm like, man, and I don't even really use it. I've never really used it because I'm like, I'm not buying fucking batteries for this fucking thing. In 2025, I do not want to have to plug batteries into my. I don't want to buy batteries for. There's one thing I want to buy batteries for. It's my fucking smoke alarms. That's the only thing I want to buy batteries for. Well, and flashlights, just in case there's an emergency and the lights go out. But those are two things: flashlights and fire.
What about your TV remote?
Dude, I can't even tell you when I replaced the TV, the batteries in my TV remote. I mean, I get your point, yes, but that happens so infrequently that
my TV
years go by.
My TV remote is solar powered, so I just turn it over and it charges every day.
Well, look at you, Tricky, jumping on the future bandwagon.
The green bandwagon.
I didn't even know when I bought the TV. I went to put the batteries in and turned it over, and there was a solar panel on the back. I read the instructions. It said it charges itself every day.
Where do you sit it to get solar power?
Just on the table, the same table.
So, like the light, just light from the light bulb,
or the sunlight that comes into your house.
Well, I didn't know. Tricky. Yeah. Anywhere I've seen you sit, it doesn't look like there's sunlight coming into a house or anything. So you have to understand that I cannot imagine where's a window where you are.
Oh, there. I did a good job of, because I work nights. I did a good job of putting blinds up and curtains up to block sun. But yeah, sunlight, your light bulbs, anything charges it. But I mean, I can't confirm it, but I would assume that I wasn't using too much power on my remote, because you pick it up, you press a couple buttons, and you put it back down. So, like, how much battery am I actually using? So, I don't know. All right, so before we wrap this up, I'm just going to expand on Matt's question a little bit and just ask you, gentlemen, what was your favorite controller of all time? And if anybody says the GameCube, I'm going to smack them.
Why? What was wrong with the GameCube controller?
That was a horrible, horrible controller.
I don't know. I kind of like the N64.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. That's the one I meant. I said GameCube. I meant the N64. But that was horrible.
Really? I liked it. I like the 4C buttons.
It's much better than the Dreamcast one. I love the Dreamcast, but that controller is a nightmare.
So, all right. So, Yield, what do you pick as your favorite?
The N64.
Alex, your favorite controller of all time?
I might have to go with the controller for my favorite video game system of all time. Tricky, do you know what that is?
PS2.
No. It's not a Sony console.
Your favorite console? Super Nintendo.
Yes. See, I like the Nintendo console, but it's a little bit too bare bones, with just the directional pad, the start select, and then the two buttons, the A and the B. I think the SNES makes it a little bit more complex, but it adds just shoulder buttons on top too, but it doesn't muck it up too much. I think it's a good mix. Although I think the DualSense, since the PlayStation since the SNES, may be my second favorite.
I am gonna say my favorite controller of all time is a tie between two recent ones for the PS5, either the Scuff Envision or the DualSense Edge, because I really, really appreciate the inclusion of the back pads. Which leads me to another question: when you guys hold your controller, your PlayStation 5 controller, are you putting all your fingers on all the R1, R2 buttons, or are you just putting one set of fingers up there and just switching back and forth between the two buttons?
It depends on what the game calls for.
Well, I'm just talking about in general.
How are you putting all of your fingers on?
Oh, can you see me?
So
I'm using my index fingers. My index fingers are on the top. Everything else is
your index finger is on L1, R1, and your middle finger's on L2, R2.
No.
Only when it calls for it do I do that. For the most part, most games don't. But there are times where you do need to do that. And yes, I'll use my middle finger for L2 or R2.
See, because what I was explaining about the Scuff and the DualSense Edge is the fact that I typically only hold the controller with my index fingers, and my middle fingers are hitting the back pad buttons now. And that just, to me, feels more comfortable.
So these three fingers right here are holding on to the back. These are on top.
Hold on.
Thumbs are on the front.
Let me get to a spot where I can see you. Hold on.
So thumbs are on the front of the controller. Up at the top here, my index fingers, all three, the rest of the three, are hold on to the back. And then I can pull up if I need to hit the L2 or R2 buttons. Did you see that?
I see you. All right, you can see me, right?
Yeah.
See, this is how I typically hold a controller.
Yes.
Okay. There are some people that do this.
No, that's heinous.
Okay, but what I generally do is because, like, when I'm playing Division, this is my aim and shoot button. My middle fingers right here are hitting the back buttons on my DualSense Edge. So this, to me, just feels more comfortable than trying to do this.
Well, because I equate it to like driving. When I drive or when you drive, I use my right foot for the brake and the gas. I'm not using not one foot on. Oh my God! If you say that some people do that,
there are some people that use the left foot on the gas and the right foot left foot on the brake, right foot on the gas.
I use one foot for both. So for me, it's like it's just easier for me rather than having to, think about controlling four fingers. I just control fewer fingers possible.
Yeah,
and just move them between. My fingers are that nimble.
Okay,
I'm not playing Dragon Force on Guitar Hero on the hardest difficulty at every given moment, so I don't need to be like all nimbly bimbly with all the fingers.
Okay, just to take a step back, I drive like you, Alex, but the people that I say use the left foot on the brake are the same people that had a hard time transitioning from a manual transmission to an automatic transmission, that they always use the left foot for the clutch. So just instinctively, they started using the left foot for the brake when they didn't have a clutch anymore. I drive like you, right foot for both, but
no, it's good to know we're right, Tricky.
I'm just, because I asked that question. I said, why the hell would anybody ever use their left foot for the brake? And that's the way it was explained to me, is that in the olden days, they just, when the clutch went away, drivers instinctively just started using the left foot for the brake.
My left foot is there for moral support.
Yield, are you a left foot right brake, or you right foot only?
Right foot only.
Good man.
Even though I can drive a stick.
I could drive a stick too. But even when I drove a stick, my right foot was always on the brake.
Well, because your left foot's on the clutch.
Yes.
I tried the left foot gas, right foot brake, and for some reason my brain can't.
No, because anytime I've ever used my left foot for the brake, I've always hit it too hard and jerked myself.
Yes. My brain can't work, but it can work the clutch, but it can't.
Alex, you have a dirty damn mind.
I was gonna say, don't be doing that in public. You're like, I jerked myself.
The second I said that, I just saw Alex smirk and look at the camera, and I'm like, he's got a dirty mind.
I guarantee there's other listeners who will hear this podcast and think the same.
I thought the same thing.
We got fucking Will on the show talking about fucking popcorn buckets when he was on the show last time.
No, listen, I thought the exact same thing because I knew exactly what you were talking about, because obviously I had to think about to know what you were thinking about it. I had the same thought as soon as I said it, but you just had this evil smirk on your face. All right, let's close out the show. We're getting to that 2-hour mark. Yield your shout out, sir.
Shout out to Tricky and Alex for recording this evening. Shout out to Matt for putting together the show notes. Shout out to Nitro for some Battlefront, and Homer for some Battlefront. Shout out to Prepare to Die Earth Scum for some Helldivers. Shout out to The Brain for some Rocket League. Shout out to Winter, because I got some days off of work.
Fuck Winter.
I thought he said winner, not winter.
No, Winter. Winter.
No, it made sense, but at first I thought you said winner. I was like, who the fuck is winner?
Wouldn't you like to know?
Yeah, I'm just a loser.
And shout out to everybody who hangs out with us, checks us out, socializes and podcasts. Oh, shout out to Gareth. Get well soon. And that'll do it.
Alex?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do our shouts before we jerk ourselves.
Christ.
What if it came out that Gareth had to have knee surgery because he was running? He was so excited to do the update for the Rarity event and get it started that he ran and hit his knee against a table or something like that.
Did he really?
No, I don't know how he got hurt or why he needed surgery. He is active still. He does play sports.
My guess is it was a soccer injury.
Yeah, I mean, he does still play sports, so it's probably something related to that. But I thought it'd be not funny, but just like very
poetic?
Much.
Ironic?
Yeah, he was like, I gotta update the list, I gotta update the table, and he was running. He's like, oh my fucking knee!
I jacked it up.
Battle scar.
I jacked it off. Oh no!
Don't be talking about jacking up and jacking off around Tricky. He might be doing it in his car.
Oh my God,
doing it well.
Give a shout out to the community, the Fuel to the Fire, this trophy yours. Thank you all for listening. Wherever you joined this train along the way, we appreciate you, and we're excited for another great year here in 2025. Shout out to Tricky and Yield for recording. Shout out to Matt for taking some much needed time off. Hopefully he'll be back soon though, because we definitely missed him. Last but not least, give a shout out to my awesome and loving girlfriend Ashley. I love you, hon. And that is going to be the end of my shout outs.
All right, my shout outs are just to the goddess, Sweet Mama D, everybody that listens to the show. So, excuse me. That was a soda burp. Or as Yield would call it, a pop burp.
Yeah, it's pop, man.
Soda. Shout out to everybody who listens to the show. And sorry for the no live stream. I'm going to try to figure out the issues in the future. I don't know what happened. So, all right. Until next week.
Hold on, Tricky.
What? You're the one that complains about the shows running long, and then you always cut me off. What?
This is about the same time as last week's show, but you forgot to thank somebody.
I feel like this is a joke.
You're right. Your right hand.
See ya.
Later.
The theme song is Venus by the band Even off their album Zenith. Permission granted by the band and 12 Stone Records. You can find them on Facebook by going to www.facebook.com/evenphilippines.